What's up YouTube? It's Heretic here. Welcome back, and we are doing another live deck profile. First time we've actually done one of these in a long time, looking at the brand new Arcanine BREAK promo a couple days before its release. And so we're just looking at a straight up Arcanine deck here. No additional attackers, since unlike Mega Manectric, we have to go all the way to a BREAK evolution after a stage 1, as opposed to just evolving an EX. So, little different, but Arcanine also has another really powerful attack that it can take advantage of. So, we have 4 Growliths to start. We use the ones from Evolutions for both Growlithe and Arcanine here. So, Hind Kick for 1 colorless is kind of cool. You do 10 damage, you jump back to the bench. And 4 Arcanines. And this is actually a really big key card in the deck, is the regular Arcanine, which has an ability that allows you to, once during your turn, if this Pokemon goes from your bench to your active, allows you to move as much air energy from your bench Pokemon to this Pokemon. And then it also has a 4 energy attack called Scorching Breath that does 150 damage, and then this Pokemon cannot attack next turn, so then we just switch out if we need to use it again. And then finally we have Arcanine BREAK, which buffs its HP all the way up to 160 and has a very Mega Manectric-like attack, which is why I referenced Mega Man earlier. For 1 fire and 1 colorless, Arcanine BREAK deals 80 damage and then allows you to accelerate 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile onto one of your bench Pokemon. So again, not quite as powerful as Mega Man, but it is only worth 1 prize, and the regular Arcanine has an excellent ability and attack to be able to take advantage of, so fun stuff going here. And then, rather than relying on like Shamans and alternate attackers, like you could go that route, I guess, if you run like Flareon EX, or you could try to run Volcanion, although that might get kind of clunky. So instead we run 4 Talonflames to maximize odds of starting with it, and avoid the Pokemon EX thing altogether, which gives us the single prize advantage, as I like to call it. I wrote a PokeBeach article on that not too long ago. I think it came out before Fort Wayne, detailing decks that only use single prize attackers. Very much like Greninja in terms of its Pokemon layout here. We have a 4-4-3 Arcanine BREAK line, and then 4 Talonflames. So that is our entire Pokemon lineup right there. So we can go ahead and, just kind of move these off to the side here as we get into our trainers. And there is another new Arcanine card coming out in Sun and Moon that may potentially work with this, but right now I'm still thinking this one is probably the best, just because of that alternate power attack you get out of it. So then we have 4 Professor Sycamores to start out, and then 4 Ends as well. Since we're not running Shaman, having a higher count of draw supporters in general is usually pretty good. Greninja decks do pretty similar things. And then you have a couple of Lysanders and a Hex. I opted not to run Ace Trainer in here, although you could definitely cut an N or something if you wanted to find something else to cut, to add an Ace Trainer in, since you probably are going to fall behind by a prize or 2 early on, just because you're going to be hopefully using Talonflame to set up, and either way it's going to take a couple of turns to get Arcanine going. So that's our supporter lineup. Definitely some options you can work with there. The thing is, Ace Trainer is not a 100% always usable card, due to the fact that you have to be behind on prizes with it, but still pretty powerful early game if you give up an early knockout, which this deck is prone to doing. Next we get to our stadiums. 3 Silent Lab. Now originally I ran Scorched Earth in here as a way to get fire energy in the discard pile for Arcanine BREAK, but then I just kind of learned that between the one you probably get from Aeroblitz, your Professor Sycamores, and whatever else, a lot of times you're going to get Arcanine going, and you're just going to want to use Scorching Breath, and then you're going to BREAK Evolve, and you're just going to go from there. So really having a bunch of extra ways to discard fire energy isn't that big of a deal. Also, with the new Giratina out, that could shut down the Burning Road ability. It's just kind of another thing that you can do there. Of course, you don't have to BREAK Evolve Arcanine, or you could Hex around that. I mean, you definitely have some options, but I really like Silent Lab also just because a lot of decks, depending on, of course, Shaman EX and also Hoopa EX in case of Mega decks. So just a lot of things you can do to counter that. Silent Lab, again, just a really, really good, really disruptive card. If you go first, lay it down on the first turn, it's always really good. Force them to have a stadium out, and by running 3 copies we can work around stuff like Parallel City, which can lower our damage output. So Silent Lab for stadiums. Items, we have 4 Verse Seekers, obviously, 4 Trainer's Mail, because again, no Shamans, and 4 Ultra Ball. So just a lot of search there. I actually opted not to run Level Ball in here, only because it only searches Growlithe and not Arcanine as well. But nonetheless, if you wanted to squeeze in 1 or 2 Level Ball, you could probably try to make the space for it. Doesn't seem completely illogical. Next we run 2 copies of Max Potion. This is really for use with Burning Road, because if you switch, or even, even if you pay the retreat, you'd be down to no energy, but then Arcanine Break would just be able to recharge itself, much like in Mega Manectric. Or if you Burning Road, you move all your fire energy onto a new Arcanine upon playing a switch or an escape rope, then you can turn around and Max Potion all of that damage off and have a full 160 HP single prize Pokemon just sitting on your bench ready to attack again after Arcanine Break charges it up. So a lot of fun things you can do with that. And as we've learned recently with the success of Pokemon Center Lady and Fairy Drop, healing cards in a non-OHKO format can be very powerful, so by all means take advantage. Next we run 2 Super Rods. This is mainly just because I didn't want to run Brock's Grit or Karen due to their being a supporter, but on the fact that they could potentially more likely force you to shuffle in the energy you don't want to in the case of Brock, or Talonflame in the case of Karen. But 2 Super Rods seems pretty good for this list in case you discard Arcanines early on. 2 switches and 1 escape rope for some free switching methods. You could also try to fit an Olympia in here, since unlike Greninja or Mega Manectric, these guys do not have free retreat. Talonflame does, but these things don't, so you have to kind of work around that. So that's what we're going with right now. 3 Bursting Balloons, just to add extra damage. Arcanine Break only does 80, but if you couple Bursting Balloon or an Arcanine Break's attack with a Scorching Breath from a regular Arcanine, then you hit a pretty substantial amount of damage, either 210 or 230, which is enough to take out just about anything in the format, at least right now. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 fire energies to close things out. Enough to fulfill our energy costs and all that, and still not clutter our hand too much. So this is more a rogue deck than anything else, but Arcanine Break, definitely an interesting card to be released. I look forward to seeing if people are able to make any other really crazy competitive runs with it. But for now, I'd say this is probably about a league level deck. Could be fun to play, And definitely, if you got free time on your league and you're not trying to seriously playtest something crazy for regionals just yet, for those people who aren't going to Georgia, want to try something fun here, I'd say give it a try, might be enjoyable. And that's about all I've got for you guys right now. We'll have some more stuff coming, one more deck for this week, tomorrow, and then another one on Monday. And then hopefully before long we will be able to start getting Sun and Moon cards on the table before the pre-releases hit. So we'll look forward to some Sun and Moon stuff. There's some stuff in that set I'm pretty hyped up about, so pretty excited to share that with you guys as well. So that's today. That's Arcanine Break, and I am Heretic. I will see you next time. Cheers.